Coming to you from the Taft Podcast Studio in the heart of JXN GOP headquarters. This is Stars, Stripes, and Straight Talk with Chris and Dave.
Hey, what is going on? Thanks for stopping back by. This is Stars, Stripes,
and Straight Talk.
I'm Chris.
I'm Dave.
And what are we going to talk about today?
You know, it's going to be kind of fun, Chris.
Is it?
The dismantling of the Democrat Party.
Okay.
You know, they're the only thing worse than watching a Democrat lose it is when they lose one of their crazies.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now the current Democrat Party, they don't know why they're losing. They truly don't. They don't know why they don't know why they lost. They don't know why they're okay.
Well, we've talked about it, Chris.
Do you think if you knew that why you were losing, you would continue to do the same thing?
If you're lockstep in with everybody else in your party, yes. Because here's the thing.
That's my point, though.
They're all in, right? They're all in on the LGBTQ.
Right.
They're all in on the environment. They're
right.
all in. They have their causes. And if anyone steps out of line on any one of these causes, they push them aside, right? So you're not allowed to have your own mind in the Democrat Party.
Well, that's
Whether
true.
You're the leader all the way down to one of their foot soldiers at the local level.
Well, then whoever it is that's like plugging in this is what we stand for, listen to this tape while you sleep at night.
Right.
They just don't have a clue on why these people are losing.
Because they're not accepting anybody. You fit the mold and you do everything we ask you to do, or you're the enemy.
Gotcha.
Right? So what happens when you do that, and you take and you make all these people enemies. Like, say, for example, on the right.
Right.
You know, there's people I know that they're 100% against, fraudulent spending.
Right.
But they don't mind the abortion thing. Well, rape and incest, So in the Democrats' mind, if we were doing their playbook, we would have to cash them aside and say, you can't belong to any of the stuff that we believe in because you don't believe in X, right?
Yeah.
So they've gone so far to where if you don't fit in 100%,
right,
they start attacking you. And when you start attacking people, they tend to get mad and leave.
I mean, it's obvious, too, that, and sometimes Republicans are guilty of this as well.
Oh, we're 100% guilty of it. Yes.
We follow party over the people.
Yep.
And that's sad. And then when you have a person who wants to actually work together, reach across the aisle, wants to work with other Republicans or other Democrats,
yep,
they just get destroyed.
Well, here's the thing.
By the party.
Here's my thing. They say, well, how could you work with the Democrats? Well, if the Democrats right on the issue, I don't care.
Right.
Because,
and if you're watching,
for example, I'm going to make it, I don't want to offend any,
what are you
I really don't
talking
care about offending anybody. But say we have issue X, right? And I want, issue X is I want to get higher pay for veterans with PTSD. Okay. And I put this bill forward. And then a Democrat goes, hey, I like this bill.
Right.
Why would I not want to bring him into the fold?
Right.
Now, granted, that same Democrat tomorroor is going to vote for post-term abortion.
Sure.
Sure.
And maybe. Let's look at Minnesota.
Whatever. Either way, even if they do, I'm still okay with working them if they're on my side on this issue.
Right.
Right.
Now, if you're out there...
Now, does that mean I'm going to compromise my morals and then tomorrow I'm going to vote for the post-term abortion? Because you have to toe the line on that. Right. Listen, if you and I both agree on this, we will vote on this together.
Right.
But tomorrow, I ain't voting with you on the post.
No, you vote with each other on the things you agree
with. Right. And that's why we have elections.
And if you're like a Democrat watching this and you think we're crazy, we don't know what we're talking about. Democrats are doing everything right. Republicans doing everything wrong.
Right.
I'm going to refer you to what happened in Minnesota.
Yes.
One one Democrat representative in Minnesota voted with the Republicans because she disagreed with the Tim Walz Tampon Tim healthcare plan.
Yep.
And one of Tim Walz's appointed people deleted her.
Yep.
So don't tell me that we don't know what we're talking about. It's obvious. And you know, Bill Maher just did an entire thing about the de-evolution of the Democratic Party. I think we ought to check that out.
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right.
And finally, new rule, it's never too early to strategize. Democrats have been having a lot of donor retreats lately where liberal strategists hold ideathons, where they try to figure out why they keep losing elections. You know, apart from using words like ideathon.
We were just talking about that. They have no idea why they're losing.
Yeah, exactly.
But idealathon?
You know,
Ideathon?
it's cute. I mean,
They sing Negro spirituals too when they're trying to make a point.
yeah.
But we're the racists.
Yep.
Come on. All right.
And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast.
Yeah, we do.
We do, yeah. Right.
Okay, maybe.
Stars and
Or
Stripes.
You could
Straight
consider
talk.
this. Instead of conjuring up a new Joe Rogan, ask yourself why you lost the old one. Because he used to be on your side. He smokes pot on the air. I don't think he's that much of a far-right ideologue.
All right. So his statement of why did you lose him to begin with?
Right.
You know, it is as the Democrat Party goes further and further left, and we know they are.
Right. Oh,
right. You know, I could play you soundbite after soundbite of all the former Democrat presidents saying, you know, we got to curb illegal immigration. We got to arrest people. We
Right.
need to deport them. We got it from Hillary. We got it from Bill. Again, Hillary, Bill, I'm not saying anything bad about you. Don't want to be
Right.
Don't want to be suicide. I've made that
Just keep it
clear in
clear.
other episodes. Barack Obama said it.
Yep.
But now that Trump said it, it's evil.
It's always evil when a Republican says it.
Right.
Always.
Just like it was evil when the Republican wanted to free the slaves.
Exactly. Always evil.
Oh, wait a minute. Democrats did that. That's, yeah.
What?
Well, nowadays, if you look back in history.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I think we
exactly.
should do an entire video about that.
We are. We're going to do one on that. But anyway, so.
I mean, since soon, it's like literally tomorrow, I believe, is Juneteenth.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Which is an American holiday.
It's a Republican holiday and
Yep.
an American holiday.
Republican American holiday. Ooh, We're going
Absolutely.
to start a trend on that one. So, but you know, we got a picture of Joe here, you know, lighting up on a show.
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan's a common sense kind of guy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So if you are the party of common sense, which Republicans are getting there, right? You know, now we still have our far right people.
You know, you have extremes on both sides.
You got extremes on both sides. Now, the extreme on our side is, you know, let's say the marijuana thing. Oh my God, marijuana is a gateway drug.
Right.
You know, all the kids are going to be hooked on smack like it's the 60s again. You know what? Don't die on that bridge.
Right. That's
You
not
know,
the fight.
That's
to
not
have.
the fight to die on. You know, I mean, it's do you regulate it? And you got medical, you got a lot of people out there.
I mean, here in Michigan, we regulate it.
Yeah, we regulate it. You know, we make money on it.
Right.
You know?
I mean, if you can't stop it, you might as well get paid.
Yeah, and I actually heard someone say the other day, it was kind of funny. They said, it's pretty bad when I have to buy my eggs on the street and I can go get my dope at the store.
It's true. We're out here black marketing
eggs, and you could go to multiple
And I
retail
just go
outlets and
roll
get
up to a store that looks like a Apple store, like you're going in for a new iPhone.
Yep.
All the LED lights and the weed is all nice and packaged with his names, you know, like all of that.
Yeah, so
You got your Bruce banner, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. So you got Joe here, right? You know, he's lighting up, he's having a good time. But, you know, he may not agree with everything Republicans say.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, do we accept him for the things that he said?
Yes.
You know, can we get along with him either way and say, hey, yeah, you know what? He's a little soft on drugs. But at the end of the day, you know, an issue is an issue. but people are people, and we're a melting pot. We're not all far right. We're not all far left. But I can associate and have a civil conversation with someone mid-left. Because once you go far left, there's no hope.
Well, same if you go far right. There's really no
Yeah,
hope.
there's no hope in either way. Yeah, so both directions. All right, let's keep going here.
I don't think his mind is completely inflexible. His neck, yes. But not his mind. And he's expressed unease with some things Trump is doing, as has a certain disgruntled former employee named Elon Musk, who, like Joe, is another guy who 5 years ago was thought of as a liberal, but got driven into the other camp by bad attitudes and bad ideas.
The cars just absolutely kills me,
Yes.
right? I don't know a single Republican who rushed out to buy an electric car.
No.
So they were literally burning their co-voters' cars.
I mean, okay, let's be honest. The Musk thing happened because Trump was rolling back the electric mandates
Yes.
that he was given by who? Whoever was running the White House.
Yep.
I can't say Biden anymore because he wasn't running.
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, the auto pen.
Yeah.
Auto pen.
So anyway, he loses his mandates. He gets mad. I'm done. Doja's almost done anyway. I'm out. Great.
Well, it was a 100-day appointment, 120-day appointment.
Right. But
And
he
they
left
was
a
at the
little
120.
early.
Yeah, a
and
little
he was a
early,
little
yeah.
salty, but now
Yep.
they've squashed all that. But in that time, what happened?
Oh,
Biden said, everyone's going to have an electric car.
yep.
The left went nuts. Yeehaw, green electric car. We're going to have everybody going to have them. California said it's a mandate. Right?
Yep.
Everyone was in love with the electric car until Musk started working with Trump.
Yep.
And then the very next morning, got up and started burning them.
I,
That means that the Democrats really don't believe anything that they say.
So the question is, when you burn that electric car, is that good or bad for the environment?
They don't care. That's my whole point.
Well, I know. But is it good or bad? I'm guessing it's really bad.
I'm thinking it's
all
really
the
bad.
plastic in a Tesla.
And what they don't tell you is all of these like recharge stations,
Yep.
they use generators.
Yeah. Diesel generators.
Right. So you still need the fossil fuels that you're trying to get rid of in order to plug in your car and
Well,
drive less
Hey,
on a charge.
I'm from Michigan, right? You're from Michigan.
Right.
I grew up in Wayne. You know, the Wayne Ford assembly plant was right there. Man, I tell you what, I love the sound of the explosion of gasoline.
Right.
And the roar and the thunder of a V8 engine.
Right. Now you can get electric cars where they actually have that as a sound effect.
Yeah, that's a sound effect. I like the real one, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know, the problem is almost like with solar panels. Boy, I'm going off on a tangent here today. If you supplement the technology, if you give the subsidies,
Yeah.
you're not helping that industry.
No.
So I have know somebody who works at a solar company, right? And they're pretty high up at a solar company. And I asked him, I go, what would happen if the subsidies went away tomorrow? Well, we'd be out of business.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, so are you saying the subsidies are helping you? Oh, absolutely. I go, well, they're not. They're killing you.
Right.
Because the problem is that when you subsidize an inferior technology, me as the manufacturer or me as a developer, where am I putting my money at, Chris? Am I putting it into R&D to make
No.
that technology viable?
No.
Or am I putting it into manufacturing and production?
You're putting it into most times advertising.
Well, I'm producing the inferior panels because I'm getting subsidized on the back end for the lack of ingenuity.
You know what subsidies remind me of?
What's that?
Welfare.
Yeah. Oh, it is absolutely corporate welfare.
It's corporate welfare.
Yeah.
It's literally what it is. Now you're beholden to us, and
Yep.
you're weaker for it,
Yep.
and you can never stop getting it because now it's going to kill you if you don't.
So, you know, when you look at this, and again, going back to the car aspect of it, electric is just not there yet.
No.
The battery technology isn't there.
10 years.
Yeah, maybe 10 years. But at the end of the day, there's companies like BMW and Toyota that have made absolutely huge strides
Sure.
in hydrogen tech. Not even hydrogen cell. They're making engines now that are literally going to be running on water.
Right.
Right? Zero emissions and no kids digging up lithium in a mine
Right.
in a nameless country that we don't want to talk about.
Right.
So, yeah. So, we got, so far we got, Joe Rogan, who, again, where no one's going to call him a far rightist. We have the guy who started the hippie electric car company.
Right.
We aren't going to call him an extreme rightist, but you know what? They're gravitating towards common sense.
Exactly. That's what it is. Common sense.
They're gravitating. Let's keep going. Yep.
A reversal I completely understand, although I would never emulate. I also see the woke mind virus. I just don't jump from frying pans into fires. But I watched the evolution of both these guys. This didn't happen overnight. In 2022, before he owned Twitter, Elon tweeted this chart depicting how he felt about the liberal side having shifted so much that it left a basically liberal centrist like him now labeled a conservative. I related. I related to the kind of mean girl shit you get from the cool kids in Wokeville when you're perceived that way. They tried real hard to cancel Rogan a few years ago. And when Elon hosted Saturday Night Live in 2021, well before he was a Trumper, some of the cast members gave him the cold shoulder for
You know what's crazy? These guys were still Democrats,
Yeah.
but because they were middle, moderate Democrats, their own party was like, you're too Republican for us.
Yeah. I mean, even look at Bill Maher.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, Bill Maher was the absolute headpiece for the woke leftist.
Right.
But again, the woke
But what was
leftist,
woke then?
Yeah, but the woke leftist is, over time, if you look at the evolution of the Democrat Party, if you listen to a speech from JFK,
Oh, yeah.
he's an absolute flaming conservative.
Oh, Bill Clinton.
Well, in today's standards, Bill Clinton's a flaming conservative as well.
Absolutely.
Except for the whole Oval Office stuff that he was doing.
That
on the
makes
side.
him even more so in some people's book.
Yeah, good point. So I mean, when you look
Because
at the
back
shift,
then, even, I'm going to say anything before Obama,
yep,
no one asked what a woman was. No one said, can you define for me how many genders there are? None of that.
yeah,
And Democrats and Republicans agreed what it was to be an American. We disagreed on how to get there.
yep.
Now we don't even agree on what it means to be an American. We don't even agree on what it means to be a woman.
If you haven't watched the special on that, What's a Woman, you got to watch it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a video we got to watch.
Matt Walsh did a good job on that. But when we see like a Bill Maher claiming to be a centrist now, and you see
Right.
Elon Musk working directly for Trump,
Right.
You see Joe Rogan. Now again, I don't think Joe Rogan's a pro-Trumper, but he likes some of the things that Trump is doing.
Right.
And that's the thing is that I'm proud enough of an American to where if someone's doing something right, I can acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, too bad.
Yeah, I agree.
That the poor guy Fetterman, right?
Oh.
God, I love his outfits. I mean, that's pretty much what I wear every day in my life.
Right.
A hoodie, right?
Hoodie.
I'm a hoodie guy myself, but you take one vote and you go away from the far left, and now they're calling for his head, and
It's
he's crazy, and
They want to kick him out of the party. I mean, just because he's like, I agree with this point and this point and this point.
yeah,
But isn't that his job? See, I think politicians, they forget.
yeah,
If you're the elected official of, let's just say, our district,
Yep.
Congressional District 5, the representative currently is Tim Walberg.
yep,
Tim Walberg's job is to represent the right and the left.
of District 5.
So what does that mean? That means he's got to look at this and say, Is this a straight Republican idea? Is this a straight Democrat idea? Or is this the way I have to go to make it right for the country or make it right for my constituents?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that Tim Walberg's part of the Republican Party, right? He ran as a Republican candidate,
Right.
But like you said, he represents everybody in his
Right.
district. Where what people forget is when you get elected as an official, you don't represent the entity you were elected to. You still represent the people.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You represent the people.
Right. So when they get there, they're like, well, to be part of the party, you need to toe the party line. Which, you know what? At the end of the day, if I have to go against what my constituents' best interest is,
Then I'm not going to get reelected.
then I'm not going to get reelected because you're not going to support me
Right.
as the Republican Party. So
Now, granted, it's easier for Tim because he is in a predominantly red district.
correct.
I mean,
Yep.
it is the most Republican district in the state of Michigan.
Oh, you look at Monroe County.
But now let's go just a little bit further north, and you're in Kent County.
Yep.
That congressional district is very blue.
Yep. But we still got some red coming out of there.
Sure, but to keep the red coming out of there, they've got to what?
You got to
They got to be in the middle.
kind of be in the middle.
They got to be like Kathy Schmaltz.
Yep.
She's in a predominantly purple district.
Yep. And again, she's not there representing the Republican Party. She's representing her constituents. And I mean, technically, you know, crap, with today's technology, you could be like, hey, here's a
Right.
an issue. Everybody go on, let's pull this thing and I'll vote the way you guys all think.
Exactly.
Now, you couldn't do that in years past, but crap is, I mean, someone could run on that platform.
Absolutely.
Listen, every time there's a vote coming up, I'm going to put it out to the people, let you guys decide because I'm representing
And
you.
I'll just vote what the
I'll
majority wants.
Vote with what everybody wants.
I
Guys,
guarantee
hey,
that person would win.
You heard it here first. Star Stripes and Straight Talk, the new platform.
I guarantee that person wins.
Yeah,
If I'm I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat.
I'm gonna vote the way the polling says. You guys
Right.
all download my app. When something comes
I will
up,
send out a text.
I will send out a text. I'll send out the poll, and we'll vote you in. But yeah, so that's the key here is that
Right.
you know they're going so far left, and they're if you're not lockstep, they're just disowning. you.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see what else we got here.
The sin of being rich. You think people don't remember when you do this shit to them? That it's not going to have blowback? Now me, again, you don't have to win me back because I never left. But all the guys in America like Joe and Elon, yeah, you do have to win them back. The good news is you can. Elon has gone from saying, I love Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man. To a week ago saying, I'm a little stuck in a bind here. I don't want to speak against the administration, but I also don't want to take responsibility for everything they're doing. And now I have proof he's in the Epstein files.
Right. And that's when he was mad. And guess what? Now that's all gone.
Yep.
And now that has all been deleted. And I apologize. I was just angry. Blah blah blah
Right.
blah blah.
And that's what people do.
Exactly.
You know what? You can get mad, you can get angry, then you know.
You say something stupid. You say something stupid.
Yeah. Hey, that's old schoolyard,
is.
tactics, right? We get mad at each other, we go beat each other up at the second recess, and we're
Facts.
hanging out on the third.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep
Do
going.
kids still fight during recess or no?
No,
Oh, dude, we had like melees.
I don't think. You can.
Every single.
I don't think they can, dude. I think
They can't do that
This
anymore?
country's too soft.
Oh, we had like legit
We did,
gangs.
but we were the last feral generation.
oh, that sucks.
But I'm saying right now, soft like wet toilet paper.
I don't know, man. I've seen some tough kids coming up, little ones
That's because they had parents that were from the feral
like us.
generation.
Yeah,
Get up, wipe some dirt on it.
exactly.
What'd he say? Punch him in his throat.
Yep.
Right? If your little sister's getting picked on,
You
better
take care of it. Yep.
You better not come home until
Yep.
it's handled.
Till it's handled, exactly.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
Typical stuff. 80s and early 70s and 80s kids.
Oh, yeah.
Only understand that.
Completely
Gen
different
X.
generation now. Yep. All right.
I think we call that a gettable voter. Someone who's mulling a change. Maybe this will put quietus to the nonsense that Elon and Rogan too went to the dark side. I hear that all the. They went to the dark. Yeah, like they got that The Last of Us fungal infection and became zombies. No, they just got driven away. Because that's how politics works these days. One side gets elected precisely because the other side was just in power and pushed their agenda way too far and drove people in the opposite direction. The pendulum swings back and forth with people not voting for anything, but just to get rid of the latest extremist assholes who tried to remake America in their image instead of just governing.
I agree 100% with what he just said.
Isn't it strange that you'd make that comment about Bill Maher?
It is, but he's right.
He's absolutely right.
The pendulum,
Yeah.
it goes from one extreme to the other. And if we could figure out how to get it to stop right in the middle,
Yep.
balance. That's what this country needs. Balance.
Well, and we used to have that. We lost civility, right?
Right. But we've lost it on both sides. You literally have to throw party out the window if you truly want to balance this country. And it's sad to say.
But the problem is that there's no balance right now, right?
Right now,
because you got to look at the shift. So for me to have balance with the Democrat means I have to, okay, fine. We won't actually have drag shows in the library.
Right.
But we're gonna have the kiddie porn books, and we're gonna have, you know what I'm saying? They've gone so far left that I can't go there.
So then what I'm hearing,
because the middle's not the middle anymore.
right, exactly. So here's what I'm hearing. You have far left, you have far right.
Yep.
So that's your Democrats, your Republicans. So you know what it's time for? An American party.
Yep.
You step up and you have the American party. We're not crazy left. We're not crazy right.
But we're not crazy right anymore. That's the thing. A crazy right winger was a soft Democrat 20 years ago.
Correct. But what I'm saying is if you found that American party who takes in that swath of voters on both right and left, that's the dominant party.
Well, the issue we're running in here to, Chris, it's almost like the church.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go through and you have the Constitution.
Yeah.
And we've grown government to a point to where it's almost needs to be purged.
Right.
Because it's so big and it's so corrupt.
Yeah,
and
it's
so,
absolutely not what the Constitution says.
How do you go out and you get a job represent your constituents for $100-something grand a year and come out with $42 million?
Right,
like
because
AOC?
it's all
it's payoff and corruptions, right? But I look at America almost like I look at the church.
okay.
So I had the privilege of visiting my sister out in New Hampshire.
Sure.
Great place, live free or die. Got the T-shirt, love it. But at the same time, when I was driving back through Vermont,
Yeah.
I passed 13 churches.
Okay.
And out of 13 churches, 12 were proudly flying their pride flag.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at what happens in America, it's almost what's happening with a lot of the churches. You got certain denominations, females can be pastors now.
Right.
Gay females can be pastors. You know what I mean? And the thing is, they say the scripture doesn't fit the current times. Well, I'm sorry. The scripture is the scripture.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
The Constitution is what it is.
Right.
Just because I'm not going to say the word evolved, just because we've changed and we've loosened
shifted
our standards and we shifted doesn't mean the source needs to change.
Correct.
Right? So,
That's what I'm saying.
Right. So, yeah, if you go an American party, just so you know, if we do that, it's going to be way far extreme to what we would call right at this point.
No, I look at it this way and see and I think it's a mindset.
Yep.
Okay. I don't call the right what it was in the 60s. in the 70s anymore.
Right.
Now, the 60s and the 70s mindset is the far right.
Yeah.
With the political climate changes constantly. Besides, like he said, you want to get rid of people, we vote the other way, right? Well, because of that, the political landscape is always moving.
Yeah.
So the goalpost technically is moving all over, but there's always one true thing when it comes to politics, and that's the Constitution.
Yep.
So you find that group of moderates, I guess would be the best term, Democrat, Republican, who feel like the far extremes are the ones running their party and they just don't fit in.
Yep.
But they can find common ground with the Constitution. That's your middle road.
Yeah. The key is that there's a lot of people out there that when they look at government, they look at government for solutions. And I'll
Right.
be honest with you, Chris, I'm becoming more and more libertarian as the days go on.
You know?
Leave me the hell alone.
Right, right. But that's Constitution.
That's the Constitution, right? It's limited powers.
It's exactly
you
what
know?
it is.
And that's kind of where we're getting.
And if the libertarians decided that they wanted to pull in everybody and make the American party,
I think
they would dominate.
if they brought in the right candidate, right?
They would dominate.
Well, for example, you brought in like an Elon Musk.
They would dominate.
You could pull that off with a big name.
You could pull that off with a Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
You really could.
Yep.
Because he is the smaller government.
Yeah.
Chop it down. Stay out of my life.
Well, the problem when you have the smaller government guy is he's got to go up against government.
Right. But but the climate is the smaller government guy is going to draw people that are left and right.
I say I don't think a lot of lefties are going small
The
government.
moderate
Chris.
ones, yes, they are.
Yeah, maybe you know better than I do.
I'm just
but-
saying you got to look at the big picture. Take yourself out of this little, we have a tendency, myself included, to put ourselves
Yep.
in a bubble.
Yep.
But when you look outside of that bubble and you see how Trump won, how
Yep.
many Democrats, still Democrats, voted for him?
Well, again, I think they didn't vote for Trump. They voted against their party.
Okay, fine. Then
What-
that
what-
means
what
that
I
they
mean,
want to be in their own party.
Well, and that goes right back to what Bill was saying earlier, right? So when I say they voted against their party, when their party went from we're going to stand with the unions, we're going to stand for a 40-hour work week, we're going to stand again, are all Republican things, but they've hijacked them, right? But we're going to stand for these things too. I want to make sure little Johnny's got the right to cross dress and get sex change drugs in third
Sure.
grade without parents knowing. That's where, you ever heard the jumping the shark?
yeah.
Yeah. When Fonzie jumped the shark, Happy Days was over. I'm sorry, man.
Right.
When the guy in a leather jacket is
Yeah.
water skiing and jumps over a shark, you gone too far.
Right.
And that's kind of where they're at with that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of people supported Trump per se.
They just
They didn't
disagreed
want,
with their party.
And this is the problem. And people look at the man all the time. Hey, I'm not a big Trump guy. When I say that, you know what? He's loud, he's obnoxious sometimes. Hey, sometimes I laugh, sometimes it's fun. But at the end of the day, I didn't vote on him to be my church leader.
Right.
I didn't vote on him to be my, spiritual advisor.
Nope.
I didn't even vote on him to be my economic,
He's not my pastor in chief.
He's not my pastor.
He's
right.
my commander in chief.
Right, exactly. So at the end of the day, I voted on him because of what he did before.
Right.
I know that was a lot better than what we had under
Absolutely.
Biden, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I think a lot of people went that route.
Yep.
So when people say they jumped over and they voted for Trump, I think they voted for the idea of almost a centrist at this point, right?
Exactly.
So he's almost in the center guy versus the far left.
Right.
Now if the Democrats ran like a Fetterman who goes, yeah, illegal immigration's wrong. Okay, I can get behind that, and he's a Democrat.
Right.
But when you had such a wide open border policy, it's affecting people's lives.
Yep.
It's hard, and because when they're not only now Bill's part here on his episode here, he's talking about how they're alienating the key figures of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, they're pushing people away.
They're pushing
It's the
people-
de-evolution of this party.
But what he doesn't cover in this, he's talking about the high profile guys, right? But what he's not talking about are the union workers.
Right. I think he's using them as his point, though.
Yes.
They're in media, and
Yep.
media is supposed to be left leaning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yep.
if we can't even keep them, like he said, I haven't left yet. I'm still here.
Yeah.
But if you watch some of his stuff, he's not happy.
He's there under protest.
And so that's what he's saying. If you can't keep the people that are supposed to be left,
yeah.
you better figure it out.
All right, let's see where he goes here.
We got a few more minutes left in this
Yep.
episode.
Well, right now, it's the Republicans who are the very definition of drunk with power, and also sometimes just drunk. But the drunk with power part, that's what Democrats should pay attention to, because you know who's easy to beat in a fight? A drunk. Really, I've done it. Now, I was also drunk, so it was a draw. But the point is, Trump owns the lowest 100-day job approval rating of any president.
Well, hold
Only
on a minute. You
39%
got- okay.
approve of.
We're not going to get to this whole video.
No, that's ridiculous.
But when you look, now this is funny though. So the lowest 100-day, well, who's doing the approval rating?
right.
know what I mean?
NPR.
Yeah. NPR rated him at the lowest ever. Yeah, of course he
But
did.
if you look at those ratings now, where's he at?
Yeah.
61, 62% across the board.
Yep.
62%. Higher than any president in history.
Yeah. Well, and I think as people start seeing the change,
Yes.
right? And they start seeing the effects of the things that he's doing, it's going to get better and better.
Right.
You know, and we talked about this on previous episodes. It's all going to come down to delivering,
Right.
right? You got to deliver on the promises you
Yep.
made. You got to follow through on the things that you said. And if you do that, you got a chance at the midterms.
Exactly.
If you don't win the midterms, then the second 2 years is just going
Right.
to be impeachments. We know that. It's
Well-
just going to be a big waste of time.
We're not making it through this video. We have hit the time limit.
Wow, these are getting fun.
They are getting fun. I want to say real quick, I want to give a great big shout out to Nora. I'm going to tell you what.
Oh,
Nora is our ride or die at this point. Nora comments on videos,
Yep.
shares, likes. We got Judy. She started to pick up the pace and
Yep.
commenting and liking and sharing.
yep.
It's people like them that help us grow.
You know, I know Nora.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. She's she helped on the Axe My Tax.
Oh, okay.
She's a real go-getter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's a good old gal from farm country.
She
and
listens to all of our shows to the end. And
Yes.
always comments.
so we love you, Nora. Keep commenting. Keep
doing it.
listening.
Keep doing it.